Good evening, everyone. I'm writer coach Tony, and welcome back to my channel. Um, Tonight, I'm going to one of my first vlogs. My first vlog is a book review on Maeve Binchy, Heart and Soul. So this is the title of the book. It's from my favorite Irish author, Maeve Binchy. It's Heart and Soul. Heart and Soul by Maeve Binchy. She's a female Irish writer, and I keep reading her works. After reading another book of hers now, Firefly Summer. So this will become next. So anyway, the lead character here is Clara Casey. Clara is a doctor, and she's in charge of. She put up a heart rehabilitation clinic in the middle of a hospital, and in that hospital, her number one enemy is Frank, who is the administrator, who doesn't give her any financial support at all. So she literally built her clinic, and hired the right people to put there without asking permission from Frank, the the hospital administrator. So she basically bamboozled her way into putting up that heart rehabilitation clinic. So that's the first part. Let's see. Let's check what happens in the other part. Several times, Fiona left to call a friend in the hospital, a friend who would be able to tell her more than the inquiry's desk. The news was reasonable. He was on a life support, but everything seemed to be working well enough. A fractured skull, a broken arm, but no internal injuries in the rest of his body. He would not be able to be visited by anyone until the next day. At 11 p.m., 5 hours after she had arrived in St. Jarlath's Crescent, Fiona spoke to both her friend and inquiries for the last time that evening. They were both able to see that Declan would live, and so they took the beef out of the oven, and the three of them sat and ate it with slices of bread and butter. And she stayed the night with them in the same house where Declan had been born and brought up. And she actually managed to get some sleep as she lay in bed. So Declan is one of the characters here. hmm Yeah. So let's move on. Um, Later that night, when the window had been replaced and most of the burned shelves and scorched utensils thrown out, Hilary and Nick sat down to talk. I suppose we'll have to decide what to do. Well, the carpenters are coming in the morning. I'll take Gran for a walk while they're here. Oh, so she wants her mom to stay in a facility, but the husband doesn't want. Uh-huh. So one of the assistants in the clinic is Ania. Now she's a central character. She's from Poland, and she's a. I like her character. She's my favorite character in the book because she had to leave Poland because she made a mistake of falling in love with a married man, and she was so foolish. She felt so foolish that this guy was making fun of her, just using her um, while living with another woman that she was disgraced in the eyes of the community because Poland at that time or when this was written was still very in the Middle Ages maybe. So anyway, so people look down on women who have relationships with married men. So Ania had to leave with that. She had to go out of that relationship and build her life again in Ireland. And she started learning English. So she's one of the best characters in this book. So let's see. So Hillary pulled out the address and phone number of Lilac Court and arranged to go inspect the place. Also, Lilac Court is the place where they're going to put her mom, and it's managed by Claire Cotter. So it's a good place to be in. This was referred to by Clara Casey as well. Um, yeah, so this is the story of Ania. I know that already. Let's go. Yeah, because so when Ania was found to be, doing um, bad things, the people in her community shunned them and her mother. So her mother could not, do laundry anymore. So it was really, really bad. So anyway, that was maybe a big part of the book. So let's go. So now I'm in the middle, 2030. Together, Annie and Johnny calmed Mrs. Edwards down. They reassured her that her heart was fine. Her blood pressure almost normal, and all she was feeling was shock. They wanted her out of the bedroom and all of it contained. So she sat at the kitchen table and told them how frightened she was their husband would come home drunk. He was two men, her husband, one in drink and one sober. Trouble was, you never know which one was going to come in that door. Don't worry, I'll be here. He'll be very upset about that door, she warned. So this Miss Edwards has a husband who's a wife beater. So anyway, they're able to resolve that, and then yeah, so they were able to resolve that. This is Edwards. So let's move on. Uh-huh. So now I'm in page 200. I'm in chapter 7. Peter Barry had always been cautious and careful. Also, another good story here is the pharmacist Peter Barry. So Peter's also the same age as Clara, and he wooed Clara, but unfortunately Clara did not have any feelings for him. So they parted ways, but Peter found another person. So he had a daughter, Amy, and Laura, and they're the ones managing who will inherit the place. So yeah. Also, the story has a part which is set in, I think, set in, if I'm not mistaken, in Greece, no? Or I'm confusing stories. Uh huh. So here they're talking about one of Clara Cassie's best friend, Dervla. Um, and they're kind of asking who was going to marry her. Um, yeah, yeah. So there is a Greek part in this novel, and it comes through Bonnie. So Bonnie is also an Irish woman who settled in Greece, no, in an island in Greece, and then I think it was Clara's. She sent her kids to go to not her kids kasi are Adi and Linda, but she sent two young kids to be there to work in the island. And these kids eventually became caterers, and they catered to the wedding, one of the weddings in the story. And I forgot the kids' names, no. But anyway, ayun. And Vonnie kasi has a son, and the son wants nothing to do with her. So the son just actually dies of a overdose, and that part was a bit sad. Uh huh. So Alan and Clara have two daughters, Addie and Linda, and their boyfriend George. Um, so let's see what else. So that's about the ano. Also, there's also other characters. The place was filling up. The staff with their red badges introduced themselves to everyone. Frank Ennis watched surprised as he saw. So Frank Ennis is the contrabida administrator, no? Uh-huh. So actually, he likes Cassie, Dr. Casey, and he tries to, um, you know, tell her that he likes her. Hillary was also holding her breath. Nick had got a haircut. He had smartened himself up considerably. He had asked Hillary did she know of any hall he could rent, a place to give a music class. Lovely as home was, it wasn't a place to hold a big class with 20 people. He had been talking to somebody who had said it made more sense to teach 20 kids four chords all at the same time for a series of 6 Saturdays for an agreed fee. Mm. So the kids were Maud and Simon, yes. They were the ones who went to Vonnie's place in Greece. So when Vonnie also went to Ireland to attend the wedding, they also let her stay in their place and showed them the Ireland that they knew. So let's see. The last guest had gone. Carl helped his father get up from his wheelchair. Carl looked at the long curving staircase. It would be a challenge. So the dad, Bobby Walsh, is a nice rich man, and his wife, Rosemary Walsh, is a contrabida. Carl is the son who doesn't want to, kasi he's parang forced to marry somebody na hindi gusto ni ano. But Carl kasi wants to marry Ania, the Polish girl. Eh, syempre sabi ng mom, she's Polish and then she's just because there's an incident here where Ania went to the party and she was really well dressed. But the problem was the contrabita Rosemary Walsh told her, "Oh, you're a maid. You go to the kitchen and wash the dishes." So si Ania naman sumunod. So then she felt really slighted. She left. And then she left. She really went to Poland. So Carl had to follow her and tell her that, it was a mistake and that he wants her back in his life. So anyway, that went well then. Next, Simon and Maud had met Father Brian Flynn. So Father Brian Flynn was renting out this church space for weddings. So receptions. So Simon and Maud rented this place for the wedding, and this is where they had their reception. And they had a problem with the alcohol, but anyway, it was the alcohol license, but they were able to solve it eventually. So let's see. Bobby Walsh knew more about what was going on than most people thought, but he didn't confront Rosemary with this information. Yeah, what Bobby did was to rent a flat for Carl and his wife, Ania, para ma-support siya. And then they transferred from that big house to a smaller house kasi nga, they don't really need a big house kasi Carl wasn't also living there. So, ayun. So, they went to a smaller house. Rosemary kasi she was feeling she was feeling rich. Um, and she said, why should I live in a small house, etc., etc. But, Bobby was insistent. And then since he wanted to help his son, um, ayun, they had to move to a smaller house because they couldn't afford the big house anymore. No? Actually, they didn't need to kasi nga, there were only two people and the space was so big and hindi naman kailangan. No? So the dad was just being practical. Um, Kasi yung wife niya, si Rosemary may pagkamata mata pobre. Brian Flynn called into the Heart Clinic to pick up Johnny. They were going to go south on one of their marathons or little strolls, as Johnny called them. Will you come with us, Declan? So Declan, oh, he's he's one of the doctors pala. Uh-huh. Okay. Barbara stood and watched as Declan and Fiona, ito pala yung nag-asawa si Declan and Fiona, joined the groups of ordinary people walking in the evening sunshine. She knew that neither of them could see the sea or little boats bobbing up and down. They weren't aware of the other people, the man selling balloons, the children eating huge ice cream cones, but they walked close together and seemed to be talking to each other. Kasi si Fiona, nag-inay na narate, ayaw niya mag-asawa kasi nga daw, she felt na she made a mistake with her first husband, so she thinks she's also making a mistake with Declan. So Declan is a top doctor. She's a he's the doctor that Clara Casey really trusts. Tapos, ayun, nag-iinakti si Fiona, ayaw niya pakasalan. Well, in the end, they put some sense into her, telling her that, magkaibang tao si Declan, magkaibang tao yung guy na sinasabi mo. They're not the same person. So, umayos ka. Parang ganun yung sinabi nila. No? So anyway, as we end the book, Tim, the security man who was coming to the wedding with Lydia, felt private. Oh yeah, so they had to fix the place, and then Rosemary. So it was a very good ano. Let's just see the ending kung paano nag-ending. Um, Clara looked up as Frank Ennis approached her. He looked very well, almost roguish in his outfit. You promised me a dance, and I'm delighted you remembered. You're the most stylish woman in the room. Thank you. Look pretty racy yourself. Are you properly divorced and everything? Yes, I will be shortly. Good. What has this got to do with the hospital board? Nothing. Why don't you seem not to work anymore? Your year is up next. Oh, balls, Frank, I'm not leaving. There's far too much to do, far too many battles to be fought and won. You know that? I know that. So eventually, Frank and Clara became the item. You know? So Tom and Kathy Feather naman, of Feather, they're the ones who are catering, helped Maud and Simon. No? So they're the ones who, yan, yun. So, in a way, this is a very good story. I love it. I love the characters. There are so many good characters. So Ania, Fiona, Declan, they're all really nice characters. And the only reason why I had to do the readings pa kasi I read this book with another Maureen Lee book. So medyo na-confuse ako sa nangyayari. No? So anyway, hindi na ako confused. So I really read it. So, ayun. So, um, basically, that was the story for this one. Um, I hope you subscribe to my channel, Writer Coach Tony, and please follow me on my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Facebook if you want more book reviews. These are the books I like to read: Maeve Binchy, Maureen Lee, and of course, mga ano na books, mga ang tawag dyan, um, fiction books. No? So anyway, with that, thank you very much for your time. Take care, everyone. Bye.